In today's episode,
The Stoic Writer, Transforming Doubt into Discipline by Victor Odesnak.
All right, so you want to finish that book, huh? Well, we're both curious about how Stoicism can help with that. So we're diving into this book, The Stoic Writer, by Victor Odesnak. It's like this playbook for using Stoic wisdom to actually succeed as a writer.
You know, it's really cool how this ancient philosophy can be applied to the anxieties of being a writer today. It's about remembering that we can control things like our effort, our craft, dedication to the words.
Right.
We can't control how people will react to the book or if it'll be a bestseller.
That's true. So much of the anxiety that I feel as a writer comes from worrying about things that are totally out of my control.
Right.
It's like I get stuck before I even start.
And that's where Stoicism is super helpful. It can provide a framework for you.
Okay.
Think about the 3 phases of writing that every writer goes through. Excitement, neutral, and doubt.
Okay, yeah, I definitely recognize those phases.
Yeah.
Walk me through those. How does Stoicism apply to those?
All right, so in the excitement phase, ideas are flowing, you're super motivated. Then that kind of fades. And you enter the neutral phase where you have to actually face the reality of doing the work.
Yeah.
This is where discipline and consistency are super crucial.
Okay.
And then, of course, the doubt phase. This is where writer's block hits. And you start to question every decision you've ever made as a writer.
Oh, the doubt phase. I know it so well. It's like this monster under the bed just waiting to pounce.
Right.
But doesn't visualizing the worst just make that monster even bigger?
Well, that's where this technique called negative visualization comes in. It might sound kind of counterintuitive, but hear me out.
Okay.
Imagine you're working on this big reveal chapter in your book.
Okay.
Now picture the worst possible reveal. This chapter is so predictable and boring.
Ouch.
Right? But instead of letting that fear paralyze, you ask yourself, how can I make this chapter not predictable and boring? How can I completely subvert expectations? You're basically using Stoicism to improve your writing.
So instead of running away from the fear, you're running straight towards it and using it as fuel?
Exactly. And by mentally preparing for these negative possibilities, you're diminishing their power over you.
I like that. Okay, so besides facing our fears, how else does Stoicism help us actually finish a book?
Well, the Stoic writer outlines a few key strategies.
Okay.
The first one is all about establishing a writing routine. The Stoics were really big on discipline and consistency.
Right.
And the idea is that by treating your writing time as sacred, you're less likely to procrastinate.
So it's like making an appointment with your muse. You wouldn't stand up a client, so why would you stand up your creativity?
I love that analogy. It's about respecting the process. And speaking of respecting the process, the book also emphasizes breaking your writing down into smaller goals.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of focusing on finishing the entire manuscript, try aiming for a chapter a day, or even just a paragraph.
Yeah, that's so true. Small, consistent steps can lead to big achievements.
Exactly.
It feels less overwhelming that way, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when that doubt inevitably creeps in, that's where you can use Stoic techniques to transform it into discipline.
Okay, how do you actually transform doubt into discipline? That sounds kind of like a magic trick.
Think of it more like mental training. When those negative thoughts come up, acknowledge them, but don't let them take over.
Okay.
Journaling can be a really helpful tool for this. You can use it to write down those anxieties and then actually challenge them.
So it's like you're having this conversation with your inner critic.
Yes.
Except you get to talk back to them.
Exactly. You can also write affirmations to remind yourself of your strength and your past successes.
I like that. It's like having a cheerleader in your corner.
Yeah.
Reminding you what you're capable of. Speaking of cheerleaders, the Stoic writer mentions these 10 Stoic hacks for writers. It sounds like a cheat sheet for a better writing life.
It really is. And these hacks offer practical ways to apply Stoic principles to everyday writing challenges.
Okay, I'm hooked. Give me the top 3.
All right, so number 1 is define your purpose. The Stoics believed that it was really important to understand your why. So ask yourself, why am I writing this book? What do I hope to achieve? Having a clear sense of purpose will help you when you face doubts and challenges.
So knowing your why is like having a compass.
Exactly.
It keeps you on track when you feel lost.
Yes. And number 2, Master the present moment.
Okay.
Dwelling on past mistakes or future anxieties won't help you get the words on the page.
Right.
Instead, just focus on the act of writing itself. So you can set a timer for 30 minutes and just write. Don't judge, don't edit, just let the words flow.
I could see how that would be helpful, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah,
It's like giving yourself permission to just play with the ideas without the pressure of making them perfect.
precisely. And the third hack is practice voluntary discomfort. This one is all about building resilience.
Okay, voluntary discomfort sounds kind of intense,
Yeah.
but I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
The Stoics believed that by intentionally putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations, we can strengthen our minds. For writers, this could mean writing even when you're not inspired, or tackling that one scene you've been avoiding.
So it's about like embracing the struggle, even seeking it out at times.
Yes,
I guess it's kind of like lifting weights makes you physically stronger, so this makes you mentally stronger.
that's a great way to put it. And it can actually lead to breakthroughs in your writing.
Oh, okay. How so?
What if you hate writing descriptions? Challenge yourself to write an entire chapter using only descriptions.
Okay.
You'll not only get better at it, but it might also spark some new ideas or insights about your characters you hadn't thought about before.
That's a great example. It's like turning your weakness into a strength.
Yeah.
Okay. What other Stoic wisdom does the Stoic writer have for us?
Well, we've only just scratched the surface. There are 7 more Stoic hacks to explore, plus some fascinating insights on how to integrate Stoicism with AI.
AI and Stoicism. I never would have put those two together, but I am very curious to hear more.
So welcome back to our deep dive into the Stoic writer. Before we go any further, I want to go back to something we talked about earlier. The idea of controlling what you can in the writing process. It's actually something AI can help us with.
Okay, AI and Stoicism seem like total opposites to me. How do they connect with writing?
Well, think about it. Stoicism is all about focusing on what you can control, like your effort, your mindset. And AI can help us streamline those things.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine having an AI writing assistant that reminds you about your deadlines or like helps you organize your research.
I can see how that could be helpful, especially for someone like me who really struggles with organization. Would that make me too reliant on technology, though?
It's about using AI as a tool to enhance your natural abilities, not to replace them. Think of it like a carpenter using a power saw. It doesn't make them less skilled, it just makes them more efficient.
Okay, I like that analogy. So it's not about letting AI do the writing for you. It's about like freeing up your mental energy so you can focus on the creative side.
Exactly. And remember that Pomodoro technique we were talking about? Well, there are some AI-powered apps that can take it to a whole new level. They can block out distractions, find focus music for you, even analyze your writing patterns.
Wait, analyze my writing patterns.
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy.
It's not about surveillance, it's about self-awareness. Like, the app can tell you if you write better in the morning or if you're more productive in certain environments.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this could actually be really helpful. It's like having a data analyst for your writing process.
Yeah.
But what about the actual creative side of writing? Can AI help with that too?
It can. The book actually talks about this idea of an AI writing buddy or editor that can be especially useful during that initial excitement phase when you're like overflowing with ideas, but you're also super prone to self-doubt.
So you mean like having a brainstorming partner who's available 24/7 and never gets tired of hearing my crazy ideas?
Exactly. Imagine a tool that could give you instant feedback on your writing, suggest different ways to phrase things, or even help you come up with new plot twists.
Okay, now that's something I can get on board with. Wouldn't using AI make my writing sound less like me, though?
It's important to remember that AI is a tool. It's not meant to replace your unique voice as a writer.
Okay.
You're still the one making those creative decisions. AI is just there to, like, assist you.
So it's like having this superpowered editor who can point out things you can improve, but they would never try to rewrite your story in their own style.
That's a great way to put it. You're still cultivating those Stoic principles of discipline and self-awareness. AI is just there to help you along the way.
Okay, so we've talked about those Stoic principles, the 10 Stoic hacks, and now this whole idea of Stoicism and AI. What does it all mean for someone who's really struggling to finish their book?
It means you have more tools and resources at your disposal than ever before. Stoicism gives you that framework for mastering your mindset and navigating those inevitable challenges of writing.
Yeah.
And then AI offers all these tools that can make you more efficient, boost your productivity, and even help you overcome writer's block.
So it's not about relying on technology to do the work for you or trying to force yourself to be some kind of emotionless robot.
Right.
It's about finding that balance, using the wisdom of Stoicism and the innovations of AI to create a writing journey that's both meaningful and fulfilling.
That's a really great way to put it. It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your destiny as a writer, and you don't have to do it alone.
I love that. It's like this message of empowerment.
Yeah.
So what's the one thing you want listeners to take away from this deep dive into the Stoic writer?
Well, the book ends with this quote that really stuck with me. The book that will change your life the most is the one you write. It's a powerful reminder that we all have a story to tell, and that act of writing can be truly transformative.
It's like this call to action, isn't it?
Have
A
you-
challenge to stop dreaming about writing that book and actually start doing it. What about for those of us who are excited about the possibilities of AI, but also a little cautious about the downsides?
That's totally valid. AI is this powerful tool, and like any powerful tool, it can be used for good or for bad. We have to be really mindful of those potential downsides as we're bringing these technologies into our lives.
So what are some things writers should be watching out for as AI becomes more common in the writing world?
One of the biggest concerns is that AI might stifle creativity and originality. If we become too reliant on AI to come up with ideas or even to write sentences for us, it could lead to everybody's writing sounding the same.
Yeah, we don't want the literary world to become a bunch of books that all sound like they were written by the same robot.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why it's so important for writers to hold on to their own unique voice and style, even when they're using AI tools. Remember, AI should be like a collaborator, not a dictator.
Okay, I see the potential problems here. But let's not focus on all the negative stuff. We've talked about how AI can be a force for good in writing. What are some ways it can help us achieve our writing goals and maybe even make us better writers?
That's a great question, and it's something I'm really excited about. You know, AI has the potential to democratize writing. It can make writing more accessible to people who maybe don't have the time or the resources or even the confidence to pursue their writing dreams.
So it's not just about making writing easier, it's about making it more inclusive.
Yes, exactly. Imagine a world where everyone has the opportunity to share their story, to connect with other people through their writing, and to leave their mark on the world no matter what their background is or their circumstances. AI could help us get closer to that.
That's really inspiring. It makes me want to go fire up my laptop and start writing right now. But before I do, I have one more question. We've talked about how AI can help us be more organized and productive and even help us come up with ideas. But what about the actual craft of writing? Can AI actually make us better writers?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a question that we're all still trying to figure out as AI gets more and more advanced.
So we don't know for sure if AI can turn us into literary geniuses.
I think it's safe to say that AI won't be replacing human creativity anytime soon, but it can help us improve our skills, expand our knowledge, and maybe even push the limits of what's possible in writing.
Okay, that leaves me feeling hopeful and also a little bit challenged. Like AI is giving us this little nudge saying, hey, here are all these new tools and possibilities. What are you going to do with them?
Exactly. It's like an invitation to experiment, to explore, and to see what we can create with these new tools.
Well, I'm definitely feeling inspired. And I think our listeners are too. But before we wrap up this episode, I want to go back to something you mentioned before, the potential downsides of AI. We talked about the risk of everyone's writing sounding the same, but what about the ethical concerns?
That's really important. With any powerful technology, AI comes with its own ethical challenges. We need to be careful about things like bias, misinformation, and even plagiarism as AI writing tools become more sophisticated.
So it's not just about knowing how to use AI, it's about using it in a responsible way.
Absolutely. And that's where Stoicism can be so helpful. The Stoic principles of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance can guide us in making ethical choices in this age of AI.
This is like coming full circle, using ancient wisdom to help us navigate this new world of technology.
Exactly. And it's a journey that we need to take together with open minds, critical thinking skills, and a commitment to using these powerful tools for good.
I'm feeling a lot more informed now and a lot less intimidated by AI. It's not some big scary thing that's going to take over the world. It's a tool that we can use to be more creative, to have more possibilities, and to maybe even make the world a better place through writing.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it reminds us that the future of writing is really in our hands.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored Stoicism writing and the ever-changing world of AI.
It was my pleasure, and I want to encourage all of you listening to keep exploring these ideas, experiment with these new tools, and most importantly, never stop writing.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We've been talking all about how AI can help writers.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that, like, there's another side to all this new tech stuff.
Oh, for sure. AI is a super powerful tool. And like with any powerful tool, it has to be used responsibly and ethically. We can't just like jump in without thinking about the consequences.
So what are some things writers should keep in mind when it comes to AI and ethics?
I think one of the biggest things is making sure that we're using AI to make human creativity better, not replace it.
Right.
You know, we don't want to get to a point where it's algorithms deciding what we write and how we say it.
We don't want to lose that, like, human touch that makes writing so interesting.
Exactly. And I think Stoicism can help us with this too.
Okay.
The Stoic focus on self-awareness, discipline, and virtue can really help us stay true to our own values as writers, especially with all these new AI writing tools popping up.
So it's not just about learning how to use the tech, it's about being ethical in how we use it.
Exactly. We need to be asking ourselves the tough questions like, am I using AI to make my writing stronger, or am I letting it take over? Am I learning and growing as a writer, or am I just taking the easy way out?
Yeah, those are hard questions.
They are.
But super important. It's like we have to level up, not just as writers, but like as good people too.
I totally agree. And it's a challenge that I think Stoicism can help us with. You know, all those Stoic principles like wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance.
Yeah.
Those can give us a framework to make better choices in this world where technology is changing the rules all the time.
So it's not about being scared of AI or clinging to the old ways of doing things.
Yeah.
It's about finding a way to use these tools, but in a way that matches our values and goals as writers.
Exactly. And it's a conversation we need to be having now before it's too late, before this tech is so woven into our lives that we can't control it anymore.
That's a good point. It's so easy to get caught up in the hype of all the new stuff.
Yeah.
But we can't forget that we're the ones who need to use it responsibly.
Absolutely. And that responsibility goes beyond just our own choices.
Oh, how so?
We need to be pushing for policies and regulations that make sure AI is developed and used in a way that benefits everyone.
So it's not just about being a good writer. It's about being a good person in this digital age.
I love that we're all in this together and we need to work as a team to make sure AI is used for good.
I'm feeling a lot more prepared now and a lot less nervous about AI.
Yeah.
It's not some big, scary, unknown thing that's going to ruin everything.
No.
It's something we can use to be more creative and have more possibilities. Maybe even use it to make the world a little bit better through our writing.
That's a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
And it's a great reminder that we're the ones who ultimately control how writing evolves.
Well said. So we've been talking about the Stoic writer. What does it all come down to?
I think it's about empowering writers to find their own voice, to keep getting better at their craft, and to do something meaningful with their writing, even with all this crazy change happening around us.
That's inspiring. Well, I think that about wraps up this episode of The Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us as we dove into Stoicism writing and all the ethical challenges of AI. It's been a great conversation. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the ideas shaping our world.
You've listened to our latest episode of Right Here, Right Now,